Well, hello again, friends. If you are indeed watching, welcome to Saturday morning, take 3, thus trying to escape from Seville. As I've said in the description, it's getting pretty frustrating now. Crash to desktops for no real reason. Anyway, I've loaded up the aeroplane again, and of course it was in exactly the same state as we left it, which is useful for, I suppose, picking up where you left off, but again, that's not really any good for us. It would have been if we'd shut the sim down and then simply just come back to it, but I was in no mood having had that, and I went off browsing, looking at new graphics cards, which I still haven't purchased yet, although looking at my frame times in here, the GPU is limiting in this situation, but they are crazy expensive. Anyway, we need to come back in here and redo the times and everything, but we're going to go out to an aeroplane that's got AC power, etc. I hope.
Hot start flight support. How can we help you today?
So I don't think we're going to need any fuel, and I think the GPU is already out there. So we just simply need to change these times. And looking at this, 1100 is what's on the sheet. So I'm going to sign that. Hopefully that won't disconnect the GPU, although I don't suppose it matters. We can always call up for one, can't we?
Of course, Captain. I'll get that organized for you right away.
Wonderful, thank you. I don't quite know how all of that works, to be honest, in detail. So, as you can see, our FO's already done a good job, and you can see the GPU is here. I hope that won't go away. I suppose I can check that by looking at the show service status. The packs are coming, there's no fuel, AC GPU is on. I'm happy with that, so there's no change. I'm just going to assume that the FO has turned up and has been a really good egg, done the walk around, although that has the probes and everything have been uncovered overnight. I don't know if that makes any difference. There's no ice on the wings because it's still nice and warm in Seville. So no pins. It's done all the difficult stuff, and we will just hop straight in. Let me just set up Volanta. Import all of that. We are going to Biggin Hill. Orly was our alternate yesterday. Today it's Charles de Gaulle. Not sure in reality what your ops would pick. Probably not Charles de Gaulle, with it being exceptionally busy and expensive. But hey, that's an ops question, and we don't take things that seriously. We do try, but that's going into a level of detail and flight planning that I'm not particularly wanting to do. We can touch the wing, clear of ice, little message there, you can't see all of it. And we're back into a cockpit that I have put back to cold and dark. I could have left the battery on, I suppose, but where's the fun in that? So, let's have a quick look. You can see GPUs available. I think there is nothing wrong with any of these. Circuit breakers, I know that's not a proper check, but nothing has changed since yesterday. Although, when I did load up the sim, the master sounds were down on mute. No idea, I didn't do that. It's baffling. X-Pilot seems to be working a little bit better, but if it does crash, I think I will reload the sim, and we'll just do it without VATSIM, which would be a real shame. But hey, what can I do? So in this view, even with, as you can see here, enhanced skyscapes on high performance and no clouds, I am GPU limited. So that is what is steering me towards thinking about new GPU and future-proofing it. However, I want to get quite a lot of VRAM, but the 3080 12 gig is ridiculous. And I wonder if 3080 with 10, that's only 2 gig more than I've currently got. It might make a difference, especially when it comes to stutters, loading and stuff. Who knows? Anyway, enough about that. Let's have a look. So overhead switches, well, nav lights, they're on. They're not currently on because, of course, there is no power at all. But it's not a bad position to leave them in, to be honest. It saves you forgetting. So overhead switches look okay. Nose steering is off. Landing gear levers down. Flight spoiler levers, flaps up. And landing gear manual release. Lamp test checked. Happy days. That's pretty much it, isn't it? So battery can come on. Ding ding ding. Passenger door, pumps, stall, brakes, probes, all the cautions we'd expect. So clear those and have a look. 22 volt minimum, we've got 25, even though the airplane was arguably left overnight with the APU running. It's going to pick up the fuel quantities in a moment, and we're probably not going to need to refuel. Good. So, FireX, let's do those. Left, right, 1 and 2, okay. APU, okay. And not quite sure what the temperature is. I imagine we are going to need the APU. Fire detector warning.
Jet pipe overheat.
5 warnings, 1 oral
Jet pipe
warning,
overheat.
3 red, 3 green.
Jet pipe overheat.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 caution. So with that in mind, and having a look at our fuel, our block fuel is 4176. Just waiting for that fuel total to go up. I think we are going to have more. So I rounded up and thought about 4.2. I think we are probably going to have more than that. That includes 45-minute extra fuel, which I don't think we're going to need because the weather is not as bad. Not that it was terrible yesterday, it was just there was a bit of variability. And you can imagine that certainly with paying customers for destination, where you've got tempo weather, etc., you'd imagine that they don't care, they don't want to be bussed somewhere else. They want to get in, so 15, 20, 30 minutes, 45 minutes of additional holding, they might prefer to being in, I don't know, France. Of which about 15 minutes of that's flight reserve. So 15 minutes of that reserve we can commit to using APU on the ground, which I may very well do. Looking at the weather, Seville 26 degrees, so arguably not too bad. The highest temp today from the forecast, 35 degrees at 1500 Zulu. So it's still quite warm. So 4200, we've got more than I need. So I'm going to take the 115 volts, 400 hertz on the external AC. Let's pop that on. And 26 volts, no discharge on the battery, and I am checking that on here. You guys just can't see it. There it is, checking those pages.
Flight compartment checklist. AC and DC electrics.
Checked.
Nav lights, logo light.
Well, I had them on. I think it's worthwhile doing that.
Cockpit lights.
They are all turned up.
Lamp test.
Let's do that, shall we? Happy? I know I can't do both.
Duct monitor.
Let's do that as well. I am going to box the CAS so we can see that.
Bleed air. duct.
4 switch lights, 5 warnings,
Bleed air
1 green
duct.
duct test OK and the oral.
Bleed air duct.
Loop A, that was loop B. B. Loop A.
FMS database status.
Well, we can certainly do that, can't we? And it looks like I've lost a couple of subs, so please don't go away, guys. I appreciate and I apologise for not really committing, but I like to think I had a decent excuse of going away for a week and then not really being up to it, or with working whilst being a bit under the weather. And I appreciate that I really only stick to one aeroplane at a time, but I honestly don't think I can switch to anything else. And it's not as if I get any revenue from the stream, so buying things on a whim is not something I'm able to do. Let's connect to XPilot at this point because we've done the database.
FMS flight plan uplink, ATIS.
See how we get on with that. And let's do our flight plan recall. Kilo Bravo it is. Like I said, I don't think we've been to Biggin Hill. I haven't been to Biggin Hill in real life. It's not cheap. Let's send that along. And then I'm going to use this one over here for weather. And of course, we could use this one. But this is a bit more in eye line. In reality, of course, you'd use the other one. Papa Golf is Charlotte. Did I send? Didn't say it was available, did it? It must have loaded. Yes, of course it did. Idiot. Right, well, before we load that, let's just quickly check the route. Upper Papa 87, no, that is different. No, what am I doing? There we go. 230 TLD, 858 DGO, 867 BRV, 87 BELEN, direct column, Upper Papa 87. TERPO 67 EKRAS 184 DIKRO 273 NEVIL. Happy. Let's pop that in. Activate the route.
Anti-skid.
Pushing that. And all it's giving me is the message, let's unbox the case. Why is anti-skid not working? That's interesting, isn't it? That really isn't working. So, it's quite interesting. 27 degrees, what do you reckon? Would we need AC? Probably. It was 26, 27 the other day, and I was saying, I suppose you've got the sun coming in the cockpit, haven't you? So, of course, hydraulic-wise, we'd expect nothing, but that shouldn't matter. So it is armed. There is no advisory. Interesting. So, because we're not fueling, etc. Let me just scribble this down. Fuel-wise, I haven't done times either. I don't obviously have a printed copy of the FCOM available. So, and I don't know the anti-skid system particularly well. I think we can have a look through the study menu to see which of these could potentially have tripped, or at least which ones we should potentially consider resetting. That would be a maintenance task, wouldn't it? Like I say, we've got some time to kill, so I don't actually mind doing a bit of troubleshooting. And of course you could have a look at the minimum equipment list as well, with it being forecast dry, etc. Maybe I wouldn't be particularly worried. Biggin Hill is quite a long runway as well. So, would we be particularly worried about not having anti-skid? No, maybe not. So, am I going to find it on here without going through all of the buses? I don't even know if it's on the AC or DC Essential. I would imagine AC, DC. Let's have a look on the DC Essential. PFDs. Oh no, maybe you do lose anti-skid. Ice warning. Is it on the battery bus? Shout if you see it, anyone, and also shout if you just want me to forget about it and continue. Does it come off these buses? Maybe. Just shows how poor my system's knowledge is. Right, nose steer 2, anti-skid 2. So, let me scribble this down. Like I say, in the QRH, for instance, or the FCOM, it should give you the CB2F7 is anti-skid 2. So DC bus 1 should be one over here as well. Anti-skid 1, CB1 F7. Okay, so at least we've found those. Turn the anti-skid off. Of course, that's not going to do anything. But you never know, bit of static discharge. CB1, CB2, they're down here, aren't they? No. Because they're an F. So, there's the anti-skid. Pop that one. Am I right? Yes. And pop that one as well. Leave those for a couple of moments, and then we can pop them back in. And nope, we still have no anti-skid. Definitely pushing it. Okay. So, that's in op and there's no message.
Nose door.
That is clear and the pin is out.
Hydraulic 3A pump.
So let's check that. 3A on.
Brake pressure.
Just waiting for, we've got 3000 psi, just waiting for the inboard brakes. Now the parking brake is actually set, so that leaves me with something of a conflict. Inboard brakes at 3800 psi. That's an unhappy aeroplane, isn't it? So, let's reset those. Oh, now it's dropping down. Going to turn those off. Turn that pump off. And there we go. Cycling the brakes seems to have worked. Put that back on. There we go, that's looking a bit normal. It's interesting. Maybe that's why the anti-skid was not working. So 3000 psi, yes.
Parking brake.
Set. Does the anti-skid not work with the parking brake set? Could I be that dense? Let's try it. Ta-da! I'm an idiot. Parking brake on. And you can't test the anti-skid. That explains my incompetence there, guys.
Nose door.
Is closed.
Hydraulic panel and pumps.
So that's what happens when you come back to an aeroplane with all those bits already done and you try and shut it down. So let's check all the pumps. All the B's in the green. Actually, do it that way, wouldn't you? Of course, that's going to be a lot easier to do in reality. Set on an auto.
Electric panel.
Gem monitor off.
AC/DC utility switch.
On.
Start ignition panel.
Checked all out.
Fuel panel.
Okay. Moment of truth. 1, 2, 3. 2 green, 2 whites. 1, 2, 3. Checked.
APU LCV.
So, we had not actually started the APU, and that's interesting. Oh no, because it's 0.7 on the checklist, isn't it? So we should have started the APU. So I think actually, well, certainly at this point, that's not a bad thing to do. 27 degrees. Start the APU. It's 10:26. Start the timer. There's the APU powering up. And if you're watching, please say hi. APU gen off, check expected. And you can see on the electric panel, the APU is on and running in blue, and and the generator is, I think amber is on but not being drawn from. We're going to leave it for a couple of minutes just to warm up. No ATC online. Seville was online earlier. Never mind. So I might as well muck around with the FMC while waiting. It's 27 degrees. And we'll play around with the D rate today. Yes, passenger comfort, engine life, although less fuel efficient. So our initial climb is 360. Should have started this side. Calc fuel. I'm going to put 4200. Alternate. Cruise out to 250. And our. Can I put it in that way? No. Okay. Execute that. Winds will do in a moment. Our estimated time of departure is 11:15, and it's quite a long taxi, so it might take that long. I am going to put in 150 because of the APU running, and our reserves is actually 408. I'm going to call that 450 as well. And of course that's just the final reserve for 30 minutes. I've just rounded it up a little there. So VNav, yes, we want a nice quick climb. And having a look at our chart, it's 120. The transition altitude is 6,000 feet. Our climb today is decimal 82, initially 360 with steps at Edigo to 380 and Anglo to 390. And on arrival, probably, it's London TMA, so it's 6,000 feet. And that looks reasonable. So there we go, we've had 3 minutes. I've done something useful while waiting. We can take the ground power out. Ground power is being disconnected. APU LCV is on or open.
10th stage isolation valve.
Open.
Packs.
So if packs can come on.
Air conditioning panel.
So let's have a bit of a better view of this. Normal. Around there is out. Packs are on. Out guarded. Extinguished. That's the word I was looking for. Unilluminated. Cabin cockpit temperatures set.
Pressurization panel.
So ICAS, ECAS, zero differential pressure. Cabin altitude, airfield elevation. Yes, it's giving us 0, and it should roughly be that. Man out centered, man rates all the way around. Press cont in, manual out. Fault light comes on. Emergency depress out, extinguished, guarded. And then our landing field elevation is not much at Biggin Hill. The aerodrome elevation. Oh, a teller light is 600 feet. What an idiot. That's about there, isn't it? And 2995. About there. Rate selectors in line with the pip. Happy days.
Lead air panel.
So, all out, all on.
Supplemental ground wing anti-ice panel switch.
That's the lights. So, supplemental out.
Cal anti-ice switches.
First start of the day. So, pop them in. Cal ice not shown. Pop back out.
Anti-ice panel.
Wing switch off. Left and right heat not illuminated. Cal switches out. Then we go ding ding test. And we have left and right window shield heat OK. Pop back to off. Nice detection. We get a ding. Nice. And then wing overheats.
Wing overheat.
With anti-ice test OK.
Wing overheat.
Emergency lights.
So they are currently off. Pop them on and go and check them. Which we can't do yet because they're not modelled, although I think that is coming. And then set to arm. No cautions.
Passenger signs.
Pop them on.
ELT.
Armed.
Glare shield panel.
So not much to set there for the moment. Nice there, plus 12.
Crew and passenger oxygen.
We have 1940. Might need a little top up, but I don't think that's too low. And of course you can actually check them. Maybe you have to pull it out and put it on. I haven't played around with that. Could you hear it? I'm not sure I could. Never mind. Same on both sides. You just, I think, pop it on, test it, and then there's a little flow indicator.
DCU warning panel.
Out extinguished guarded.
CVR.
Test green light.
Audio panels.
Mic 1, com 1. Mic 1, com 1, 1228.
SPS system.
My least favourite check, because we can't really do it. Go, and it does need two of you. So, stall protectors are both on, and stab trim 1. Go all the way down to 0. Stab trim disconnect. Flight controls, yes, and then we do SPS test. Stall fail. Ignition A and B. Stall warning, oral and there. Push, disconnect. Oh, we've got NEVIL issue. I don't think I remember moving that. And I can't do the G test. Happy. So the only way to do that is to recycle the battery, I think. Although I suppose arguably you could pop the circuit breaker. Seeing as we've got 25 minutes, why don't I do that? So this should happen if you move the ailerons when they're unpowered. But I don't recall doing that. So I wonder if that's just a loading glitch. So to reset the aileron controller, and it's weird that it's just one, I think you have to pull the battery. But I wonder if we have a look at the study panel again, if we can reset that. So that's going to have to be on one of the essential buses, isn't it? Where would you be? Oh no, maybe it isn't. Maybe it would be on the emergency. It's a flight control, isn't it? So, DC Essentials, emergency bus, let's have a look on there. Or would it come from the ADG? Have a look. just because it could clear that little annoyance. Of course, it might not be listed as power control. Hello, Glenn. Continuing on, well done for doing such long flights, mate. That's it's a good effort. I imagine you have been lucky enough not to have the same issues I've been having. So, AC essential for TRU. I suppose it could be, couldn't it? I would need to know exactly what it was called. Sorry for wasting your time. So, if of that emergency contact, no, that goes down, doesn't it? So, EDC is the air data computer, so it's not that. I'm looking for something like an aileron or flight control. An FCP or something. It'll definitely be in the books somewhere, but flight controls, it's not going to list it, is it? I am intrigued, but I've wasted 5 minutes trying to find that. It would just, of course, be a lot easier to pop the CB than it would to muck about with this. Just shows how poor my systems knowledge is. Be on wheels. Is it any of the GCUs? No, I don't think so. And this is where your systems knowledge comes in. But I suppose actually this is delving into the realms of engineering support, isn't it? So we're not going to fix that, but there is no great issue because of course the ailerons do still operate. So SPS has been checked.
Integrated standby instrument.
That looks serviceable. We'll get the weather in a moment.
Clock.
1040, 1040.
EFS, ICAS.
Checked.
Main landing gear bay overheat.
Well, that's down here, isn't it? So, overheat. One warning, one oil.
Overheat.
Yep. And a fail.
TOS warning switches.
They are all out. Let's test them. You see that there?
Glide slope. Pull up. Wind shear.
So that's a long old trip. Shannon to Toronto.
Terrain.
To Seattle, Ontario, Hawaii. Then Guam through Asia and back. That'll be fun. It's a worldwide tour. It's the time zones that would kill me. Like I say, I like to do it in the daylight. Not because I don't mind flying, but for the stream, it's certainly much more interesting to see it in daylight. Anyway, tours is done. Radar's on, so I'm going to turn that off.
Pitch and roll disconnects.
Stowed.
Ground spoilers.
Ortho.
Thrust reversers.
So they are checked. Armed.
Thrust levers.
One full free correct cutoff. One full free correct cutoff. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Like I've said before, Glenn, I don't know if you've been here when I've said it, but the fact that it's all going on in the background, it makes absolutely no difference to me flying the aeroplane how it's depicted, but knowing that it's all there just makes me think that I'm flying the aeroplane more. So, thrust levers checked.
Engine speed switches.
Are both on.
Engine vibration check.
So there's VIB up to 3.5.
Oral warning. Smoke detector.
1, 2, red and oral.
Smoke.
Trims. Mach trim.
So, stab trim 1. And the Mac trim in, stab trim in op. I'm just going to box the CAS. There we go. Disconnect. Mac trim, stab trim. Then we do that one, stab trim 1 in op, and then you disconnect it on the other side. I'm not going to. Of course, that is a functional check. Then those in, no stab trim, cautions, push that one in, no Mac trim caution, set for takeoff, and then check all the trims, which again I'm not going to do because I won't be able to reset them to neutral. We use about 6 for takeoff. I do.
Yacht ampers.
So on, no caution.
Reversionary inhibit switches.
They are all set normal and the tunes are out.
IRS.
Let's check that they have aligned. So data, display menu, it's still there. There they are. All 3 nav.
CPDLC.
Nobody's online, can't do it. And I'm going to give myself a headache trying to do it anyway.
TCAS.
DCAS test, tune, ATC. Set above for the climb. Test.
TCAS system test OK.
Excellent.
ATIS and clearance.
So we've got the ATIS. Let's do it again, just to make sure it's the most up to date. And of course you wouldn't see that wiring diagram in reality. I was just looking for it for a list of CBs, although I'm sure there would be a card somewhere in the FCOM that tells you what's where. Terminal weather, and we want this one. So let's scroll that down. We're on stand 37, I believe. Look at the parking. Yes. And I just write that down next to where I would write the clearance, even though I'm not going to pop the clearance in. So this is 10:30. Zulu weather 320 at 6. Variable between 250 and 020. Cav OK, which I will try and remember the definition for in a moment. 28 degrees, which I will have to update because we did 27. 1015. So let us set those. That's been done that side. 120, altitude of about 100 is fine and sensible. Unbox the CAS. No clearance.
FMS flight plan. Wind update. Perf.
So let's do the flight plan wind update first. And you can see there's max temperature today, 1500 Zulu that I mentioned earlier. Cav OK, and the definition for Cav OK is no clouds or significant weather. Is it within 20 miles, 25 miles of the aerodrome? No CBs, or is it no cloud above? No cloud below 5,000 feet or sector MSA, whichever is higher. No, I'm going to have to commit this to my memory and keep saying it every time. So prevailing visibility is 10 kilometers or more. No cloud below 5,000 feet. Yeah, just said that. Or below minimum sector altitude, whichever is higher. Yes. No CB or TCU at any height. And no significant weather in the vicinity of the aerodrome. That's what Cav OK is. Or, good day to go flying, as we call it. So yes, that is the ceiling and visibility okay. Yeah, I think it may well have come up from that. Effectively, you're right, but there is a definition for it. Landing with 1 ton of fuel. That's all right if you've committed your alternate fuel. My alternate fuel today is 1010, so just about okay. But yeah, those headwinds, they can catch you out, especially if they're not as forecast. But then, if you've used SimBrief, you should have an en route fuel contingency. Mine here is SNR. I'm not sure where that is, but it's somewhere in Spain for a fuel en route. So, winds have been done. Flight plan, not quite done because we haven't got clearance, but 2.8 can go in there. Perfinite, we know what we're going to get. And you can see we're relatively light. Takeoff, what we really need is runway 27. Our departure is the 2 Papa. 600 direct, we'll check those in a moment. The arrival is not going to change because I think it's the same arrival for south end of Biggin Hill. Neville 1 Charlie. And we're going to expect the ILS for 2-1. And looking at the arrival, that's an arrival that gets us to OCVAP. Would we be taken into the hold? Probably not. I don't want to go direct overhead. So aircraft normally radar vectored by Thames Director to localizer 1800 direct, which is a 4-mile final. Do we want to go via any of these? I know it gets us to Godlu. Okay, I think we'll say via Alkin because there is a hold at Alkin. Direct arrival via Point Alkin. Yeah, we can do that, especially if there's nothing online. Happy. So, legs-wise, let's have a look at that. 27, 600 direct Pixie. Yes, I'm not sure how well the aeroplane flew that, to be honest. We'll get 600 turn. Initial climb 80. So I'm going to set 81, still nobody online. Loaded up what was required. 500 more. Honestly, mate, SimBrief is good, but just like reality, it may not be as forecast. If you've got active sky weather, I'm going to say, without nothing really to back it up, that that's pretty accurate stuff. So, flight plan, yes. So it's just a question of perf. Perf in it we've done. Takeoff. So I'm gonna put in nil wind because we've got a very long runway. And what was the wind? The wind is 320 at 6, 1 degrees west variation, so negligible, because wind is always in true. It's a 50-degree wind. So if I put 320 at 6, which would be about 5 knot crosswind, about 1 knot headwind. No, we're talking about 4 knot headwind. You're right about the crosswind. 2/3, yeah, I suppose that would make sense. 1015 it is, but what I'm going to do performance-wise is take that out because the crosswind doesn't really count. The runway is dry, 3370 with no intersections, so we are going to go all the way down to the end. APR's armed. That is what we think we're going to be. And the obstacle climb gradient we're going to do in a moment. So if I pop that there, it's a little bit of switching without the calculator. So thrust limit, if we take a flex, I think the max is 50 in this. Yes, actual, because I don't think 55 works. Invalid, yeah. So, let's just double check. Valid, so 50 it is. And then we go back to takeoff. And you see, even with that, you've got much higher V speeds. Just checking that that seems right. Outside air, yes. 1587. No, perfect. Next. That is selected and the actual. So it'll be a lot slower to accelerate, etc. A bit more sedate climb.
Hello, Captain. It's Jenny from Hot Start Flight Support. Your passengers have arrived. Shall I have them brought to the plane?
Yes, please. We got the APU on and they can just sip champagne while we get ready.
Understood. They'll be there in a couple of minutes. Anything else?
I'm happy with that.
Always a pleasure. Take care.
What was it, an extra 300 meters? Which is pretty significant, but whatever. So, flex enunciated yes, send those speeds through. They have been sent, and there is no speed restriction. But we need to be above BT plus 5, which is 163. So I will set 200.
Takeoff date, avionics and charts.
Done.
Flight instruments.
Okay, let's do that. So, Toga, M1 flex, enunciated yes. Takeoff, yes. Flight director my side, flight director's alive. Let's... There we go, set that. Set decent range. 12.5, yeah, 25. A bit smaller. Yes. Nav, LNAV armed, out select. Yes. Still nobody online. Logical check. Attitude looks sensible. Heading is sensible. Runway heading is 271. VORs not needed. FMS is active. First waypoint is effectively the runway, and then 0.3, yes, at 600. V speeds 121, quite a bit higher. 25 for rotate. We've got the plug-in for the call outs, so that should help. 200 bugged. Left side flight director. 81. 8's the stop altitude or initial climb. VSI 0. 5.8 flex. And 1015 happy.
Departure briefing.
We have discussed. And taxi is going to be left, straight out left, all the way down to the end.
Emergency procedures.
Hello, Captain. Hope you are doing well today.
Fine, thanks.
Great. There's nobody else coming along today. So as far as we're concerned, we're all good to go.
Winner, winner. Get sat down, make yourselves comfy, and now that you're in, we can shut the door, because that will help keep the cabin cool. We're just chucking AC out overboard at the moment, which is again modelled. If you haven't looked at that, Glenn, already, do have a look. There's the door shut. Emergency procedures. Well, I am not that good yet.
Pins, covers, chocks.
There is one chock still set.
Cabin lights, water heaters, master seat. Flight compartment checklist complete.
Excellent.
Engine start checklist next.
So 4160 on the fuel. We'll be starting on time. There is nobody to request start from, so we would call up a request, and it's important to vocalize this in your mind. 2000 set. Once we're cleared, I'm going to pop out to on.
Engine start checklist.
And then we'll crack
Doors.
on. Yeah, it's good.
Close.
You can look,
Parking brake and pressure.
see.
Checked and set.
There,
Fuel quantity and balance.
it does offload cool air, so the packs are working harder. So fuel quantity imbalance. It's almost 100 kilos. That's well within, and we'll sort that out once we've started.
Beacon.
So again, we definitely have, there's no one's call up, but we would call up for engine start. Make sure that we have
On. Fuel boost pumps.
a ground handler. Pumps on.
On. Ignition.
What are we going to use today? It's an odd day. Let's try A.
Armed. Engine 2 start.
And really that shouldn't be the check. I think there should be a check for clear to start. So, engine 2. Request. Teamwork, there we go, thumbs up. So, it is 10:59. And we will start engine number 2. There you go. N2's turning, oil pressure is increasing. 20%, less than 120, N1's turning. Fuel on, fuel flow increases. ITT increases. And oil pressure is increasing.
Fuel system.
So, I don't think that he's checked that that is stable. 2462, it is. Engine 2 is running. We want to see left low pressure, which we have. Both go in.
Engine 1 start.
Again, request. We have got a thumbs up, start engine number 1. So N2's turning, oil pressure is increasing, 20% N2, check, ITT less than 120, N1 turning, fuel on. Fuel flow increases, ITT increases, and oil pressure is increasing. Yes, it would, Glenn, and knowing whether you've got one or not, yes, like you say, it would be nice for them to take care of the messages and everything
Engine
else.
start checklist complete. After start checklist, next.
It'd be nice to hear the clinking of champagne in the back as well, wouldn't it? Chuck us one up the front.
After start checklist. Generator 1 and 2.
So they are available, they're currently offline, and now they are on.
Checked AC and DC. Ignition.
Disarmed.
Disarmed. Packs. On. 14th stage. Open. Cowl anti-ice.
So we are going to do that
On.
one,
Check
that
45
one,
seconds.
that one.
Flight
Oh,
controls.
hello. But I'm also going to do that one. Flight controls. Full forward, full aft, full left, full right, full left rudder, full right rudder, and we've got the glitch.
Ground spoilers.
Well, they are down here. Auto, and they're not deployed. They're deployed, disarmed, not deployed, and armed, and they deploy. Auto, they stow.
Flight spoilers.
All the way up. Half, stowed, both displays checked.
Cowl anti-ice.
So we have cowl anti-ice on, and 2 lights up there.
Supplemental ground wing anti-ice.
We are waiting for that.
Trims.
How do I go back one? So test on heated fuel balance. No, it is not. So left to aux, and we'll balance that. Trims 3 set takeoff.
No steer.
Chocks out, please, sir. While we're waiting for that one to illuminate. Wait for the thumbs up. Of course, you have to look outside for that. He's only got to come and do the front ones. There we go. So, no steering.
Armed. APR.
APR test. APR test 1 okay. Test 2 okay. There we go.
ADG unit.
Test. Wait for the light to go out. Oh no, that's the lamp test. There's the unit test. I did it the wrong way around earlier. There we go.
Supplemental ground wing anti-ice.
That is green. Oh, thanks Toto, and thanks for joining as well for my horrific flights. So, switch light out.
Cal anti-ice. Off. Wing anti-ice. Norm. 14-stage isolation valve.
You're here and I can hear your voice. Isn't that wonderful?
Wing anti-ice.
Wing anti-ice on, Amber N2, yes, and
Check. Off.
switch to
ATS.
standby.
N1 TO. ATC TCAS.
I'm going to leave that out on.
After start checklist complete. Taxi checklist next.
M1 flex, yes. So there is no one to talk to. Let's have a look. We have got taxi chart, correct radio frequency, Seville traffic prefect 99, taxiing hold runway 27 via Golf 1, taxiway Alpha, Seville traffic. I know that's not technically correct, but I don't like Alpha 2, Alpha 3, Alpha 4, Alpha 5. It's just grief.
Taxi checklist. Taxi lights. On. Wing and cowl anti-ice.
Not required.
Brakes and steering.
So, like I said, clear left, clear right. We can get the crew to give us a C off. Parking brake off. Toe brakes. You can see roll forward. Check them just like you would in reality. And a quick check of full and free steering. I know we checked the rudder, but that would be a check of the tiller, even though I am using my feet. There should be, there's the taxi line ahead, and that's exactly what I'd do in reality. You don't want to find out your brakes are not working once you've built up a bit of speed, and you also want to be able to steer. If you're in a tight space, all you can do is check for full and free, then do your proper taxi checks as you depart any congested area. But there we go, left rudder, compass goes to the left. The ball, you can see there, it isn't a ball in this, but it goes to the right. That's our solenoid, not solenoid, the fuel, good reminder. It's leveled out nicely. And then of course you want to do instrument check to the right. Just a good habit to get into. There is some traffic here, which is nice. Haven't heard anyone. And we did check our audio panel. So brakes and steering checked in just a moment. Once we get down here, what I'll do is I'll just move over to the right and give it a full right with an instrument check as well. Of course there's no turn rate indicator, so that would be another analog instrument check. So what am I doing? Well, while we've got a bit of space here, and you can also check the brakes individually, make sure they're not cross-controlled. So there's the left brake. There was a little swing to the left. Or you can check that the turn tightens as you do your taxi checks. So there's the left. And I know you probably don't do these in the jet, but it is good for my SEP. Full rights, compass increases, ball goes to the left, and of course you could check the right brake works individually.
Reverse thrust.
Let's build up a little bit of speed. Just to idle, don't build up too much. Left reverser deployed, transit stowed, right transit deployed, transit stowed. One flex.
If taxiing the de-ice, pause checklist here until a paper de-ice checklist is complete.
We are not. It is 28 degrees.
Flaps 20. Altimeters set and cross-checked. Radar weather on. Takeoff briefing.
So radar in op, but I've got terrain on. Takeoff brief. Left hand seat takeoff. Runway 27. Straight ahead to 600. Right turn to a pixie above 3.2. We'll have to keep an eye on that with the flex. I think we'll have more than enough excess power. Should be a bit more sedate. And the V-speeds have disappeared. Or have they? They had. I wonder why that was. Did I change anything? Don't think I did. Anyway, 163 is the FTO plus 5. So that'll be gear and flap above 400 feet. 200 bugged initially, and then direct en route. And there's still nobody online. Look at the X-plane map. One bit of traffic. And as always, I managed to not write down our departure time, or at least our off blocks time.
Taxi checklist complete. Before takeoff checklist next.
So we've still got more than enough performance to go from these intersections, I think. Oh no. Yeah, we probably would from Echo 5. But of course it's not published, so we're not going to do that. The diagram is to scale. I have a feeling ATC would not let you. Certainly when I went to Royal Air Force Wittering, that is I think a 9,000 foot runway in a PA-28. Guess how much of that you need? Not much. And to go all the way down to the end. Although the controllers were nice enough about it, there was nothing published. I was more than happy that I could go from one of the intersections, but no. So, if we're a little bit early, I'm not worried about that. Before Toto says, why don't I do the announcements and stuff, I did that once and I had a crash to desktop, so I don't anymore, and I think that is just related to the number of windows, etc. that I have open. It was another display driver bug, or maybe a Vulkan issue. I've been struggling with them for ages. So, windsock accurate. Wind is going to be from the right on takeoff, which is going to push the tail to the left, make the nose go to the right, which means you need to correct with the left rudder. Large inputs to start with, when controls are less effective, reducing as we speed up, although it's not as, because I'm steering with the rudder as well. It's of course a bit more effective on the takeoff roll. I assume that that's programmed to turn off at a certain speed. Would be nice to have a tiller. Haven't found anything relatively cheap or suitable. So, got the SID up on the chart. Just come to a stop here. We have got takeoff config OK, which will disappear as the brake goes on. I am happy that will come back. So it's probably going to be 11, 14, 4. Sounds 200 for taxi, a little bit more of course with the APU burn, and we need 3.3. Ah, between 10 and 15, that's a lot lower than I thought. Useful to know, so actually it won't make any difference on the takeoff really. Seville traffic, Prefect 99 lining up, taking off runway 27 in HOSA to Papa departure, Seville traffic. So, can still check, even in reality, make a quick check of the final approach, the runway is clear.
Before takeoff checklist. Passenger signs. Advised on. Anti-collision light. On. Pros. On. Windshield heat. On. Wing and cowl anti-ice.
Not required.
Continuous ignition. On. ATC TCAS. TARA. Supplemental ground wing anti-ice panel. Checked. CAS. Takeoff config OK.
Checked.
Landing, pulse, recog lights. On. Before takeoff checklist complete. After takeoff checklist next.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean that seems pretty reasonable. Because of course you'd be all over the place otherwise. So we've called up, we checked, not checking again, it's only VATSIM. And straight into the takeoff roll, it's 11:15, excellent timekeeping for a change. Checked 80 knots, I was expecting a call. Maybe the plugin isn't working. There's rotate, a little bit sticky. There's the nose onto the horizon. There's the positive rate. Gear up, your travels onto the flight director. You can see with that variable wind in X-plane, it's bouncing around all over the place. It's not just me. Okay, safe speed, safe height. Flap up, we are above 600 feet. Do a gradual turn to the right.
After takeoff checklist. Landing gear. Up. Flaps. 0. Thrust reversers. Off. Ignition. Off. Pressurization. Checked. PAX transition.
It's a good thing Toto's doing all that as a good FO for me.
Completed. N1. Climb set. APU generator. Off. APU. Shut down. Passenger signs.
Really twitchy. I'm going to have to look at my controller calibration. We'll worry about those in a moment.
CAS.
APR armed, but apart from that, clear.
After takeoff checklist complete.
So, let's bug the speed up a little. 250 to 12. Plenty of excess power, and I'm happy with pitch where we are. Roughly 10 degrees. Maybe it's just the pitch couple that I struggle with, not being able to feel it. Having to sort of constantly trim. Okay, passing 5, we'll switch to flight level, no ATC, we'll self-clear up to 360, and you can see why a 1000s knob for my hardware would be really useful, because this takes ages. LNAV, pitch, and I think it's just that variability of the wind again. So let's go vertical speed just to smooth this out a bit. Standard set on both. Yeah, you can see it twitching around all over the place. It's not really turbulence, it's just X-plane. Pixie, we are coming overhead, and we will have flight level change. Hit the wrong button there. Flight level change 250. So we are going direct into VOR, which is not tuned. Band drills, it is an RNAV departure, so arguably that's an overlay. We need to be above 170. Definitely going to make that. And 042. Oh, traffic global. Interesting. Interesting. So we're approaching 12. Screaming through there. Let's pop vertical speed. 2,307.8. And I'm going to wind that up to 360. Red Dragon, I haven't seen you before. Thanks for joining. Yeah, traffic global. I can't remember if I had that or world traffic. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Maybe it is the sort of CSLs, etc. So CPU and GPU appear pretty balanced. Of course, there's not a huge amount of weather. I'm still itching for that upgrade to turn those settings up, because we are on performance for enhanced skyscapes, and of course thinking about what's going to be coming in X-Plane 12. I know the intention is to put quite a bit on the GPU, or as much as possible. What do I want? I want to increase range. I have not done quite a few checks. Pop those to auto. Cabin 1600 climbing at 3. Delta B's 5.5. So we're not going to die. And we're still in vertical speed, because I'm an idiot. So let's get a little bit more performance out of that and not waste it. So we took off 11:15, 3990. And I haven't done any ETAs or anything. Bad day today. I'm just happy that it's working. The Ortho is looking good. That's just all Bing. Zoom level 16 with zoom level 17, I think 13 kilometers around the airports, which should work out about 2,500 feet. I can't remember if I did that for the UK as well. I wanted Zoom level 17 for the whole of the UK, but I think that saturates my VRAM and that's what kills my frames, even though the CPU usage spikes. Toto might tell me if I'm wrong, but that plus the mesh I think is what pounds the GPU, which actually just went up to about 337 there, a little bit of a hit. So maybe an extra 2 gig of VRAM would help, but I am a little worried that that would not necessarily be future proof. Oh look, now we've got some clouds and we're GPU limited. And they're not particularly good quality either because of the settings. So that's the only thing putting me off really, is a 10 gig card versus 12, but the 12's ridiculous. So 200, 2.3, 500 and Delta P 6.8, so happy. And the next point is decimal 78, 1147, shall I tune? Okay, let's tune the VOR. I was pretty sure that I just selected 114. There we go. Yeah, you're right, Toto. I mean, it's not bad, is it? It's just a bit noisy, and the higher settings are better. But of course, yeah, it really hits the GPU. And my poor 1070 Ti can just about cope. But like I say, I think it is that VRAM limit. I haven't done any checking, but of course I've got 2 screens for the instruments, and I appreciate they're not running them full and they're windowed, etc. I've got another monitor running another desktop view which has stream, it has XPilot and ActiveSky and a Volanta running on it, and then the sim in 2560 by 1080. And I have wanted a 1440 21:9 monitor for quite a long time, but the GPU would definitely struggle. And seeing as it's mostly X-Plane that takes up my time, it doesn't seem like a... Well, it would be a worthwhile upgrade, but that's what I'm sort of measuring performance, and I know that it's very inefficient, so it is expensive to release those frames. At the moment we're about 30 something, and then every now and then there's a little dip. I suppose I should try and monitor VRAM usage, but easier said than done when I've got everything else running. Let's have a look on VATScope, see who's online. Oh, I guess whoever was on the ground at Seville was an arrival rather than a departure. Isn't it lovely when you hit call up? And just checking the audio panel, we do have VHF1 122.8. What's the point of flying online unless you speak to people and at least tell them where they are? Although when you say that to anyone, often the response is, or the requirement from the code of conduct is only if it helps anyone, which does seem a bit stupid. I appreciate there's not a huge amount of point calling with flying along an arrival, but certainly on final, on the runway, vacating the runway, these sort of things are pretty useful. But whatever, the joys of VATSIM. And everyone who is going to be mooching about in the 737 chaotically. So, is it me or has it smoothed out a little? Difficult to tell. Oh, maybe not. Too soon. Yeah, you can see the FD bouncing around. Why is that? Is the wind changing? Smooth transitions for the wind would be nice. So, who's that coming the other way? Shannon 886. Decimal 78. Climb checked. And yes, but they're quite a long way out. And we are turning away from them. Happy. Oh, the joys of VATSIM. If you dig through my videos, there was a stream from Amsterdam once, and the controller was, let's just say, irate. It was cringy, but good old VATSIM. Not being able to fly to a VOR. Don't get me wrong, I can understand how people can get into a bit of a pickle. But yeah, not being able to, it's not in my flight plan. I do wonder if there's a lot of people that fly online without charts, which you just can't do for IFR, and it's not really an excuse of any note. Anyway, I'll scribble the time as we're over the HOTAS VOR. That's my Spanish is non-existent, so it is no doubt being pronounced incorrectly. Oh, and they're 25 miles out. What am I worrying about? Scale. So, 12 minutes. We're only 1 minute late. I expect to be a little bit slower to climb the flex takeoff. Make it nice and smooth for the punters. I'm going to call that 29 overhead. And we have 3710, which is actually more than expected, despite the fact that we took off with less, which is interesting. A bit of needle wobble. And now I'm well and truly CPU limited, which is interesting. So that's quite a spike. Loss of about 20%, about 35 frames to 30. Good old X-Plane, baffling me as ever. Don't know if that's just a tile loading up. Who knows? And this is running with the two less cores in the command line, which I think seems to help. I'm not sure, I still get those spikes. Don't know. It's just troublesome. If you throw money at the problem, make it go away. That wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, but X-Plane is fickle. Red Dragon, thanks for the sub. Yeah. I managed to lose my train of thought there. Explains inefficiencies, I suppose. No, I was thinking about the plugin. I'm sure I put the plugin for callouts. Guess not. Oh, that's what I was going to say, Toto. It'd be really good to know what you have your stability and control settings to, because I find the airplane a little bit twitchy. 1000 to go checked. I find the airplane a little bit twitchy, and I find that it sort of feels a bit stuck to the ground at rotate, and if I pull back any more aggressively, it leaps off. Could just be my setup though. The Warthog has got pretty good resolution. I missed the force feedback. I've still got the old force feedback Sidewinder 2. That was nice. Outcap, so let's wind the speed up to decimal 2. And here we are. Top of climb 15 minutes, top of climb 17 minutes. Expected really. Like I said with the D rates, so I haven't done the ETAs, I will do. But at least writing down, I'll call that 3.3, and the fuel 3.630, seems bang on. Then, having a look at the VATSIM map, there is nothing but the UK is lit up, which would be nice because it would be useful to have something on the way in. We're the only arrival for Biggin Hill. In reality, it's a pretty busy airport. Biggin Hill, I'm reliably informed, if you fly in, the cost of a helicopter to Battersea is included. Which is a pretty smart business move, because if you just go in there to use the conference facilities and then fly out, then you've paid for a helicopter you haven't used, which is pretty smart if you ask me. Fuel's pretty much balanced, cabin out is steady, Delta P is green, and we are en route. 1 hour 57 to Biggin Hill. I don't really like long sectors. But luckily no one's online, so I will go off and make some lunch in a minute. Hopefully the jet won't fall out of the sky. The GPU is not working particularly hard, but the CPU is. Still getting 30 frames, which I'm more than happy with. It's just the spikes and not really being able to figure out why. There is a combination of mesh, X-Europe. X-Europe shouldn't really take too much in resources. And I do have object settings relatively low. Something I'm not fussed about, nor... actually I suppose it could be 35. And 3590, 3.5, so we do have a little bit more than the plan says, although we had did we have considerably more to start with? But we were using the APU. I know what I need to do. Tune ATC normal. And who's that at the same level as us? A Ryanair 1232. 737L. Can we tell what has produced that? So, no remark from SimBrief, and flying at an interesting level. Planned at 370, stopped at 36. Whoops. So, thanks for the head-on. Toto, have a great day. Thanks very much for joining. Uh, 1232. Have a look on the en route chart and see if they are incorrect. So we are currently over Sotok, high en route. Just gone past Sotok. Maybe they're doing a direct because they're not on an airway. And it would be odd south and even north because you get the semicircular rule and you rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. It ticks, which is what they do in España. Majority of routes are north-south, same with France. 25 miles off to our port. Yeah, we ain't gonna see that. So consulting my trusty flight information handbook. Well, we know it's odds and evens. Regardless of whether or not so it does rotate. I'm pretty sure it rotates around clockwise. Clockwise makes sense, and that would be from 090 round to 279. Of course, until you get to flight level 290 in non-RVSM airspace. And actually, that reminds me, it's a good point to check 36 standby. And I think if the difference is it more than 200 feet? Toto's the sort of guy that would know. Then you are non-RVSM. UXO 39. With 3500. So yeah, we could you've got the space on RVSM, left standby and right. Oh, hello. So, little bit of a change in heading, and I'm going to leave that there and get some food. There'll be nothing up on screen. Hopefully it is all good, and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, I'm back. So, lunch was pan con tomate. Keeping in with the Spanish theme, Spanish flights today, and that's, oh, hello. It's a bit of a turn. We already did the step climb, which I didn't come off mute for. Look at the Ortho. I mean, doesn't that look good? I know everyone raves about FS 2020, but actually I think the Ortho is better quality. Like this, I know the buildings aren't. Anyway, this is Domingo VOR. We're overhead at 1200. And we've got 3.1. So fuel is good. Yeah, sourdough, toasted, grated tomato. Sounds weird. Trust me, it's not. Garlic brushed on the bread. And then a really good quality olive oil. It has to be a good quality one, don't use rubbish. And salt, that's it. Beautiful lunch, very Spanish. Could do with a beer or some sangria to go with it, that would be delicious. But I'm simulating my flights, so I keep those sober. But I mean, as Ortho goes, I think it's pretty darn good. And like I say, zoom level 16, 17 near airports. CPU's getting hammered. GPU not so much. But still 30 frames a second I can live with. And yeah, if you are watching, please say hi. Lovely view out the window. But not a lot to say, an hour and a half en route. An hour and a half cruise fuel is, the average kilos is 1049. 1049 times 1.5 gives us 1.5 tons, just over 1.6, and we would still have another 1.5 left, so it's going to be even less than that as well, even if we do some mucking around low level. And where's our next step climb? It's quite a long way up, I think. Oh, there's hardly any point. Our next step climb is Anglo 390, because that'll be crossing into the UK FIR, I guess. I'll probably go down. Go down one instead. Anglo, yeah. That's airway change. There is, I suppose it depends how long that arrival is. It's probably not worth it. It's probably better just to go down. Let's have a look and see who this is. You know, I don't know. Looks pretty spurious to me. Oh no, there was two. ALT3, ALT3. What kind of call sign is that? And they use SimBrief. So they should have a level of proficiency. Planned 350, but at 39. Okay, that's odd. And that's a 777 from Miami to Barcelona. Crossing from left to right. Don't see it. I think they are just out on the coast there. Oh no, yep, there they are. The joys of VATSIM. I mean, come on, that is pretty cool. And you'll see those lights much better at night, of course. It is pretty cool. 25 miles away and you can spot them. It's, oh, come on, I mean, that's quite cool. And it's a real person, and they might be competent. It's all good fun. So they're overhead, tracking over that VOR as well. I still haven't done my ATAs, etc. Still a bit hungry, to be honest. Nice lunch. So yeah, that Rhino I was talking about, he was new 7th flight in what I assume was Oh, 9 flights. In the 737-700, that's PMDG all over, isn't it? No harm, no foul. But I guess there's going to be a lot of people on the network that are not proficient. I hope London stays online and busy. I'm going to get London South queued up on COM 1. That's 129.425. We really need 833. And you know what? If the sims don't support it, don't know what you do about that. Tell people tough, or find a way around it. Get them to find a way around it. I don't know. You know, if you're still using a 10-year-old simulator, have a word. There must be a way to get an interface or something. So this is the Bilbao VOR. We are overhead at, yeah, I'm going to call it 06. And 3020. Fuel is bang on. So what else is going on in the world of flight sim? Not what to say really. Chuck some questions in the chat. I mean, I appreciate it's probably just Glenn watching, but if anyone else is, yeah, chuck it in. And this is the reason I don't really like the long quiet cruises. I mean, okay, yes, we could be doing nearest airports and stuff, which arguably wouldn't be a bad idea. Nearest suitable. What I need is some paper en route charts. Get the en route tractor out. So obviously Bilbao is probably the best bet. What is Bravo Sierra? Public airport, longest runway. Nope, we ain't getting in there. But Bordeaux is out over to the right, and you could argue, you know, if we had an issue now, where would we go? Do you want to go back towards Bilbao, or do you want to keep going and make use of the altitude and head forwards? They're both pretty big airports. You're going to get engineering support. These sort of questions are what creep into your mind for contingencies. I'm sure there is a way to do it. But I don't feel the need to play with the FMC too much. So, why don't we have a look on the Hot Start forum? Anything interesting on there? Weather radar, well, we know that doesn't work. Explain 12, hopefully it will. It's not a criticism, by the way. Nobody criticises Toto. Because he's a genius, an actual, legitimate genius. Not everything is perfect, but you can see the thought and the detail that has been put in to this aeroplane. cloud cover. So the CPU drops down, the GPU ramps up. They're relatively evenly matched. I don't get it. I don't get it explained. I think the GPU is going to get hammered even more in future. I am slowly talking myself into an upgrade even though nobody's listening. .3080 Ti Founders Edition is in stock. I don't think anybody wants that. Especially when you can get the 3080-12 aftermarket with better cooling. That's what a friend of mine has talked me into. Still haven't got it yet. So, overhead Belen. We are in the French FIR. Bordeaux is online, but Brest is not, so nil ATC. It is 12:11. And we have 2920. The fuel matches up exactly. So that should comfortably give us what we need on arrival. Gonna have a good old think about the arrival because we may very well be vectored in. So we'll aim for that 3-degree descent. Is the aeroplane rolling? Bit of a wind change. So yeah, that's the only thing. If the 3080 was a 12 gig card by default, I think I'd have already jumped all over that. But is that 2 gig going to be future proof, especially for the cache? They're not cheap. I know they're coming down, and I have a feeling that the 40 series is going to be made of pure unobtainium again, and it doesn't mean that that's going to increase any availability for the 3080s. So I wonder if we could be in the same situation where when everyone was getting 20 series cards and then they sold them expecting to get 30, they were left high and dry because they had nothing. So that's a definite possibility. But like I say, it's not an insignificant amount of money. What I definitely don't want to do is switch to another 8 gig card, so it really sort of backs you into a corner. And there is no way in hell that I would pay the ridiculous amount for the 3080 with the 12 gig. Because that is just silly. You'd be looking at what, £130 and an increase of 15% for an extra 2 gig. And is that going to future-proof it enough? Arguably, the 12 gig card performs worse as well. Probably because it's the different memory bus, I think. Bit width, that rings a bell. And of course, none of that would fit my current case, Delta Core V1, which is a nice case. I have enjoyed the case, but it's limiting on the GPU, and I don't think you could get a big enough air cooler in that would do a 12 series, which would be a nice upgrade, except the DDR5 and the terrible motherboard compatibility. That's also not cheap. So are the graphics cards. For what I've built PCs in the past, is what costs for a GPU upgrade these days. Insane. And if I pop in 3080 versus, what have I got, 1070 Ti, I think it has a factory overclock. It's EVGA, it should, shouldn't it? What is the difference? 113% faster. 130. So that's double the performance. But if X-Plane cannot use it, again because we are CPU limited, CPU times have dropped right down, as has the GPU now. Because of course there's nothing to render over the sea here. It's far from a bad card, but 2017 it was released. Did I get it 2018 maybe? I think that was an upgrade from a 970. With the mistake of getting the 8400, the i5, touted as the best gaming CPU. Well, maybe, but not for X-Plane. Certainly was very limiting in X-Plane. So back up to about 40 frames a second with nothing to render, which is, I suppose, not too bad. So let's have a look at this arrival. We're going to go all over Normandy and then hang a right, go up through the channel and round, which will take us round past Lyd to Godlu. Could put a hold in over Godlu. Flight level 100, max 210, so let's have a look at this in the FMC, shall we? And we'll have a look at the weather as well, just to get our mind into it. Annoying, but correct, I guess. There you go. So, what did I say? That it was not worth a climb. Funny that, no. Because the arrival. So, Godlu, flight level 100, Alkin. I think I'm going to be tempted to just close that discontinuity and go direct, even though we might get that. And hold in Alcan as well. But let's close that gap. So, NEVIL, flight level 220 and descent planning. Actual descent as directed. So, whilst these are charted, I don't think in the UK you get given descent via the SID. It will be for descent planning. 220, then the next restriction is, oh, wrong button, 140 at NEVU, 250 at OCVAP, and then GODLU at 100, max 210, which we've got, so we'll probably fly that clean at 200. It's max 210, so arguably wrong, the other way around. I'm happy with putting that in just to help the profile out. And then Alcan, and then 4 DME at 1800, checked and charted. And the mist is straight ahead to 2 and 2 DME, so that's 2 DME DME. Turn right, so if we have, no, it doesn't work on VOR2, does it? Because the aeroplane will auto-tune, which is of course useful, but what that doesn't do is help me single crewed, because I want the Biggin Hill DME and the ILS tuned. So what I'll do is on nav 2, I'll have 1151 and 1151. Hopefully that will keep that tuned. And then the mist is continue to climb to tunnel, which is the same as Alcan, and hold 180 knots max. Well, that's fine with flap. So that'll be us, and we can fly and can see. And the minimums depend on the climb gradient, so we will check that once we get a little bit closer. London's still online, which is good. Does that mean they've seen us inbound and have given us anything big in? No. Gatwick is looking busy. Heathrow surprisingly not. Somebody with a Wickham call sign. Shoreham. A new pilot as well from Singapore. Interesting. Somebody's going into Briars Norton. In an A321. Maybe in that funky UK livery. And 32 squadrons, new Falcons have arrived, which is interesting. Interesting bits of kit. So it'd be nice to see Toto model those. I wonder what's next, because of course this took an extreme amount of effort. And whilst it's a lovely aeroplane, the one thing that I would say is that because it's performance category C, it doesn't open up a huge amount of places. I appreciate the performance is quite good, but it is still quite fast on the approach. I know the Falcon is a lot slower. Don't know if it gets it into category B, but of course getting those distances right down, especially the factored distances, does open up a lot of smaller airports. It'd be interesting to know what the most versatile of those. I like the Phenom for the capability, but I don't want to say that it was poorly modelled, but everything is poorly modelled in comparison to this jet. So if Toto could set up a big old team that does loads of aeroplanes, that'd be great, and you'd probably make loads of money. Of course, I don't even know where you would get all the data from. It's just insane. And you know, for all the raving that people do about PMDG, I don't think the level of simulation is as good as this. Doesn't mean it's bad, but for all the development and junk they talk, and you know, people have said this add-on is expensive. Well, you've only got one aeroplane with PMDG for what, $60? So by the time the 800 comes out, what they're going to do? Give you a pack with the 8, 9, and that's going to be another 50, 60, same price, isn't it? And alright, people might say, oh, but you've got 4 different aeroplanes. They're not really though, are they? They're only slightly different. It's the same type rating. Therefore, it's not the same. Therefore, it's the same aeroplane. I know the systems are slightly different, but you know, I mean, those are all relatively minor tweaks, and it's not as if those systems are simulated either. So, yes, the packs are different on the 700 compared to the 8, 9, and the 6. Yeah, but it's just a graphical thing, isn't it? It's not like you're actually doing anything with the cabin volume. You're not doing anything with, yeah, you know, like would in this aeroplane, like has been done in this aeroplane. Excuse me, still have a little bit of a cold. So 3.8 we're not going to climb anymore, so that's good for my brain. We've talked a little bit about the arrival. We'll do some proper planning in a moment because I'll have a toilet break, and then we've got an hour expected arrival. There is the coast of France, and that looks mighty good, especially with the shadows, doesn't it? But still the CPU racking it up. Ooh, big spike there. So that's the coast and the islands, and we're just going over Nantes, where we have been. Lima Foxtrot Romeo Sierra. Follow the coastline up there. We are one departure in a PA28. Where are they going? Oh, they're just staying local. VFR. Out for a bimble. London City. We can't go in there because we haven't got the short field package, have we? So we'll think about weights and stuff in a minute. While I'm doing that, might as well get some weather. Looks pretty glorious in the UK. Another fine day. And we're doing a decent lick across the ground, 500 knots. So compared to others, we look a bit higher than a lot of people. About 30 knots faster than your average bus. And your average 7.3 fin 5 Papa, that's an A320. They're doing similar to us across the ground. Right, you guys can't see that, so I just have to move over here. There we go. There is our weather. 260 at 6, variable between 210 and 360. That's a big range, isn't it? It's a very big range. That's almost 180 degrees. So, with that in mind, I will put that worst case tailwind in for the performance figures. 360 at 6. 1021 because of course that'll give us a transition level of 7.5. But yeah, that 260 at 6, I'm sure we'll have ample performance, but we might as well put that in as the worst case. And then cloud-wise, scattered at 4,500, temperature of 17, looking quite nice. Gatwick is very staffed up. Approach tower ground delivery, and Heathrow Tower is online with London as well, 12942. Probably won't be long before we start speaking to them, so maybe about half an hour. So I'm going to take a quick break, grab a drink, and then we'll get into planning for the approach. Okay, I'm back, and it's time to do the flight log because I've been putting that off for a long time. 15, 18, and this is just running through the ETAs, ETEs, so we know if we're ahead or behind schedule. Because as you can see, we are getting up to the northern coast of France. So let's get the chart up and ready, which I have. The VOR is tuned. It is not picking that up yet. Do we need any other nav aids? No, we don't. So, VOR1 we are going to tune to 109.35. That is a localizer. It knows. It's smart. But we are going to tune 206. So the quickest way round is that way. We need to do the performance to get our minimums. Which will of course improve if we do any holds or anything like that. So we were 3 minutes late to top of climb, 2 minutes late elsewhere, 31, 33, 37, looks like we're 2 minutes late overall. So that was Rinso? EKRAS next. 47, we think we're going to be there. 48, so we're about 1 minute late. So 12:56. ETO Anglo. $12:57 into the London FIR, and they're now offline. That's a shame. It's just sod's law, isn't it? 58, and then top of climb should be at 1300. $13.21. Good, that all adds up. Fuels are all okay, and let's have a think. We should be 13 tons bang on, 0 fuel weight. So let's have a look at our nav log. And we want flight plan prog. So we expect to arrive with 1620. Which gives us 14620. So perf wise, we need to pop in, and I am going to change that to 75. Perf. Go VNAV plan speed in a bit. So approach Yes, runway 21. Yes, what time was that? 12:20. So I said we were going to do 360.6 to 97. 021. See, that really does temperature and pressure start to increase it. I think temperature makes the biggest difference. 5 knot tailwind. So, landing distance available on runway 21 from the threshold is 1670. Interesting. One 799. Well, the runway on the chart is 1806. 21 doesn't look displaced. No centerline lighting. Well, that could be wrong. So I'm not going to change that for the moment, and we are going to put in 14.6. I think we can round down. 1413. Runway 21 from the threshold is 1670. So still fine there. What else was I thinking about? Nothing. So set that through. 122 plus 5. 127. With a 5 knot tailwind, so it will be less than that. That is worst case. And then the approach climb gradient, 13.4, and is that in percent? I think it should be. The minimum missed approach climb gradient is 5%. We meet it for both of those criteria. And you can see our max landing for the performance runway available and the climb limit. So we can take 746 as the minimums. And I'm just doing that on the PFD. Which is 229. It's assuming that we do actually get that runway. So 746 round up 750 checked. 206 10935. 1800 at 4. Max 160. 180 in the procedure, 160 for the mist. 163 miles out. Happy. Is there anything else I need to do? It's 12:48 overhead at EKRAS, so we're a minute late. And we've got 2.3. We're actually. We've got a little bit of additional fuel, which is fine. 42 minutes, there you go, you can start to see the top of descent. And no one to speak to. Two arrivals, us and somebody going from Hotel November. Where is Hotel November? Sandown. Seeing as I still have not been to the Isle of Wight, that's why that's not in my brain. Echo Golf Whiskey Charlie, where is that? That's a tower that's online. Cosford. Interesting. We could always use Gatwick ATIS. Maybe. Maybe Gatwick's a little bit far out. City's probably closer, to be fair. So, I am going to bring the speed back to 7.8 for the descent. I'll send the weather again in a minute. And we will carry out the descent as published. In the absence of anything else. So it is looking quite busy. 228 ES, London if we need it, nobody else. I don't think Gatwick cares. We are outside controlled airspace. Expecting the beep beep, but path is armed. There we go. Seven 8 for the descent. And the GPU working hard. Let's just double check we are on performance. We are. It's not going to get any better than that. Interesting dips. May end up having to go heads down a little bit. Overhead DIKRO. Somebody in text, inbound ILS 4 miles. Doesn't say which ILS, to Jersey. Again, don't know why people don't call up on voice. So you can see coming down at a pretty rapid rate, 3 degrees, 5 degree rate of descent. It's not overly uncomfortable, or at least it shouldn't be. So I think once we get to flight level 100 over Godlu, that'll be the point at which we do our in-range check. That is 40 miles out from Biggin Hill.
Descent checklist. Shoulder harness.
Checked.
Passenger signs.
Let's pop those on.
Pressurization.
So about 600 feet set.
Fuel quantity and balance.
We are 30 kilos within limits.
FMS. Landing data. Charts.
So charts I have available. FMS is done. As is the landing data for the worst case. We'll update that though in a moment.
Approach briefing.
We have discussed what we're going to do. It is a little bit variable in case anybody comes online. But we're effectively going to go direct to Godlu and then inbound for a 4-mile final.
VNAV transition flight level.
Checked.
Descent checklist complete. In range checklist next.
There we go, nice change over to 300. Keep us steaming in. I am going to set 140, so we might have a little level segment. .1250 Zulu. The weather is 2506 and 200 variable 320, so better. 10k visibility, scattered at 4500, temperature 17, 2.8 Q1021, which I am actually going to set here. And switch over later. Cast towards terrain, landing data, shoulder harness, pressurization, anti-ice, windshield heat, and fuel quantity at transition level, altimeter set cross-check. That's from the QRH, which I would like to transpose into the checklist, but my brain is inferior, so I have not played with the XML yet because it baffles me a little. So I tell you what I could do for COM2 is set Gatwick approach 126825. And tower's probably not going to be needed. But I've got London if they come on, and Gatwick on COM2, which is that one. So we can easily switch that over. All about being prepared. We've zipped straight through 220, I think. Am I correct that we didn't level off? Which is nice, because the Phenom did that, which was irritating. So just going straight through, it levelled off and then started to descend again, which was a bit unpleasant in the cabin. That's a pretty steep turn. It's a good thing we got everyone sat down, isn't it? So static air is minus 15, ISO plus 8, and got a good bit of speed on. But if we move to this cloud layer, the anti-ice on, engine only. Sure, I'm out to the left. Lid, and to the left again. And I think I just realised why K is for Kilo, Echo Golf Kilo Alpha. K for Kent maybe, I know that's Sussex, but maybe that's how the sectors used to be done. L for London, K for Kent. I'm sure somebody had a naming scheme. Bravo Papa, is that Kemble? Yes it is. Been to Kemble once, I think. Only once. Aviate Cafe, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm now going to set 100 and end up levelling off. Although I would expect that this was continuous descent if it was able to be. I guess not. Let's get the average down a little bit. Anything else to do? I don't think so. We can hold if we need to. The traffic does not look terrible. It looks pretty busy. I moved the microphone and still got you. I apologise. So yeah, it still looks busy. Not sure if whoever is inbound, the PA28, Goodwood, Midhurst, Ockham, zipping over Gatwick, 1350, we reckon they'll be arriving. We should be in before them, 1306, that's incredibly. Not sure why Simbury filed that. 1306, 1321, yeah. So 1,000 to go for our restriction. And the speed is coming back, so I'm just going to let it do it. Let's have a look and see if there's another top of climb. So we have leveled off. I can't quite see that top of descent. I can imagine that it would be a lot further round. You can see there 500 feet rate of descent. Where's that 290 come from? I thought that was just beginning its descent. I don't know where that 290 restriction has come from. But then again, I am often quite dense. Point the aeroplane and fly. Zipping along at flight level 140 over the channel. What a lovely day for it. We can listen to Gatwick. Yes, let's listen to the comedy channel. I don't even know what call sign that was.
Okay, right, that one has an X-ray turn, anything 320 degrees. 320 degrees, right, that one, 320. It goes to 45 speed, 160 knots to 40 UAE. 160 knots to 40 UAE.
Cool, this could be fun.
One has an X-ray speed, 180 knots. 0 knots, we'll get the X-ray. Gatwick approach, speed bit 129, get back to B065 degrees. Gatwick, you're turning, I told you to turn right, not left. Remember that, sorry. Go to 45 tower, 124, 225 call sign at leap. Go to 45. Better 1 has an X-ray left, 290 degrees, we'll establish 26 left, descend glide path. Left 297 degrees, or left 260 left,
Fair play to the people that don't do it in English.
so that's 129, now turn right all the way around, heading 030 degrees.
So 034.
Right heading 030 degrees, right turn. Speed bit 129. But on do you know you started turning left again? The wrong way around. I'm turning right.
Fun.
Go for Charlie, turn left heading 350 degrees.
YMML. Got our mate. He's Aussie from Melbourne, Singapore server. Simbrief A320 from Frankfurt to Gatwick.
030, Gresham easy 530 descent to 5,000 feet, QNH 1031, Gresham 1021. 6460 descent to 580. 97 public again. Gresham easy 97 public Quebec, speed 220 knots. 20 knots, 97 public. Go Papa Charlie 8, stop turn heading 040 degrees.
Stop turn 040 degrees. Go Papa Charlie.
Easy 97 public Quebec, turn left heading 350 degrees, speed 180 knots. 97 public Quebec, left turn 350 degrees, speed 180 knots. Easy 97 public Quebec, heading 350 degrees, speed 180 knots. Alright, 350 the heading and 180 knots, 175. Easy 6
Bill from Melbourne too.
right, heading 225.
Oh, hello. Let's
530, turn right, heading 07.
pop some of this on. Oh, definitely hit those.
Right, that one has an X-ray speed 160 knots to 40 ME. 160 knots to 40 ME, and we are on this 2 seconds. Richard Golf Papa Charlie, speed 220 knots.
Speed 220 knots. Go Papa Charlie.
Golf Papa Charlie, turn left.
James from
235.
Bristol.
240 degrees.
240 degrees, Golf Papa Charlie.
CN doesn't say what aircraft.
Got you back, speed 129, heading 3030 degrees, please. Heading 303 degrees.
No.
Speedbird 129. Nice and popping the back left, turn 290 degrees, we'll establish 26 left, descend guide off. Subject 12126, unique on 1 decimal 8. Right, from 1284, Dodger 265.
There we go. Looks like the top of descent was just hiding under OCVAP. So there it is, back into view.
Nice and popping Quebec left, turn 230 degrees to establish. 190 X-ray, tower 12425, call sign only. Order tower, call sign only, 190 X-ray. Cap Papa Charlie, turn right, heading 040 degrees.
040, Golf Papa Charlie.
6460, turn right, heading 330 degrees. 330 degrees, right, T6460. Director, Canada 45, Benson, heading 180 Canada 45, turn left now, heading 05. Persian, turn left now, heading 065. Left heading 065, Canada 45. ETA Persian, ETA 530, descent to altitude 3,000 feet.
We'll stop listening to this in a minute.
Golf Papa Charlie, descent to altitude 5,000 feet, QNH 1021.
And 5,000 feet, Golf Papa Charlie.
Right close to Dover. You can tell that's blighty.
Speed 160 knots, maintain to 4 DV. Canada 45, speed 220 knots. 220 knots, Canada 45. 6460, speed 220 knots.
So I'm just going to mute that now. And we're not going to get an updated weather. I'm too fussed about the weather unless the runway changes. Not that we've got much choice. Unless we do a visual circuit in this, I'm sure I would hash up. So, what's the arrival? Not below MSA, which is 2,300 feet to the east. Hopefully VNAV will give us something. 210 max. We want 200. The aeroplane is struggling with that a little bit. I'm not that fussed about it too. Oh, I tell a lie, I should be fussed. Let's give it a little speed brake to help.
Range checklist. APU. Started. Altimeters.
Hey Zombie, hello. Thanks for joining. Are you a new sub? Altimeters, we're still on standard.
Avionics.
Checked.
External lights.
Pop those on in a second. I'm going to run this at 2 to 200, 210 clean.
On.
Left pulse on.
N1 target.
I don't think I can do that yet. Nope. Why does that not match?
Set.
So let's head down. Let's go down to 4. And I'm going to get it from 1021. Not below MSA. So yeah, we'll maintain 4. We are direct Alkin.
APU pass transition. Avail completed. APU generator. On. CAS.
Checked.
In range checklist complete. Before landing checklist next.
So London Terminal South 134. 1, 2. They might do something with us. So 40 miles to run. Arguably, we don't need to descend quite so keenly. But if that is getting us to 3014, yeah, sounds about right. Ooh, 20 frames a second. There's the CPU going through the roof. 21, 22. Less than ideal. This reminds me why we don't go into London. I suppose I could turn the objects down a bit more. Da-da-da. It's got a boring arrival, this, but got to stick to it really because of how busy everywhere else is. Without any coordination, can really do it blind. Ghost pointers, correct. Heading. So, manual speed. Not quite sure how we can be above path. So I'm going to try for a continuous descent. Alkin at 3 is what the aeroplane expects. I think we can shallow that out slightly. Don't forget the procedure is max 180, so we want to be 180 at Alkin. And we're draggy enough that we should be able to achieve that. It's a bit of an interesting intercept. So 7 DME arc, I think we could probably go off piste a little bit. We can do some manual vectors. And it would probably be something like 300 with our terrible frame rate, which again I am sorry for. Excuse me. So I think pop that off. And I'm going to take us off piste. We're going to have a heading just to try and smooth this out. So, India Bravo Golf Hotel checked, and we appear to be above the glide. Let's start bringing the speed back. Flap travelling. Seems a little keen. I'll try and smooth this intercept out a little bit. Seems turbulent. I think that's just the variable wind, so let's put that on. Right, circuit, yes it is. It's right and circuit. Begin hill traffic, Prefect 99, a Challenger 650 inbound 12 miles to the east, ILS 21, begin hill traffic. And I can see him in the circuit. I am going to put the tuning on.
No traffic, no return, no return, no return. We hold in to west of 321.
Well, he's got ample time, but I'm going to let him figure that out. So 18 at 4 miles. Nope. Let's keep that coming down. Interesting. There we go. Picking up the glide. See, I did think we were okay, but it is fluctuating about. And now, where are we? Yes, I think we're good. So, continue down to 18. And what sort of intercept do we want? 236. It's going to be a bit of a steep intercept. Could have gone on a little bit longer. Begin hill traffic, Prefect 99, intercepting ILS runway 219 DME, begin hill traffic. So localizer ghost pointers are there. Let's come left 10 degrees. Excellent. And what is this cloud doing? 500 feet, is that a heli? Begin hill traffic, Prefect 99, established ILS 21, 5.5 miles. That wasn't too shabby.
Before landing checklist. Landing gear lever. Down indicator. No steer. Arm centered clear. Anti-skid. Armed tested. Passenger signs. On. Wing cowl anti-ice.
Not required.
Continuous ignition. On. Thrust reversers. Armed. Spoilers. Stowed auto. Flaps. Set. CAS.
Visual of the traffic and CAS checked.
Before landing, checklist complete. After landing, checklist next.
So we've been doing ample radio calls if people can't square their lives away. That is arguably not my problem. Landing area is clear. The missed approach is 2000. Some pretty nice undulating terrain here. Lovely World War II airfield. I do need to go, but it is pricey. And you can see the wind, the variable wind bouncing the aeroplane all over the place. It really wouldn't be as apparently turbulent as this in reality. Maybe I need to get a GoPro and take it for some real flying. Look, it's all over the place.
500. Approaching minimums. Minimums.
Continue. Rate of descent increased a little bit there.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
So we should have ample. That didn't feel too bad, but I bet it was not good. Could have held it off a little bit longer. Not even braking. There we go. Versus could be stowed because we are going to make the end of the runway. And we are going to vacate right. Which is right down the end anyway, so there's no point heavily braking. We touched down at 13, at 32, 1700 on board. 1720 was the prediction, so that was pretty good. Wasn't bad, was it? Oh, that looks a bit tight. The scenery is not bad here either. Should only call once you have vacated the runway, but to stop people getting twitchy, I'll call a little bit early. Biggin Hill traffic, prefect 99 runway vacated. Biggin Hill traffic.
Biggin Hill traffic, go for turn over Tango Romeo, enter right base, T1, traffic.
After landing checklist. Landing, pulse, recog lights. Off. Anti-collision lights. Off. Continuous ignition. Off. Windshield heat. Off. Pros. Off. Wing anti-ice. Off. Cow anti-ice.
Hot start flight support. Jenny speaking. How can we help?
Right, Jenny, come and get the packs when we get there, please.
Understood. We'll have that ready for you. Anything else?
That's grand, thanks.
Always a pleasure. Take care.
Spoilers. Stow. Flaps. 0. ATC TCAS. Alt on. Radar mode. Standby. After landing checklist complete. Engine shutdown checklist next.
Greetings from Switzerland. That's somewhere I've never been. I've heard it's nice. So I'm just deploying one of the reversers there just to try and keep the speed down without using the brakes too much. This could be a bit better, couldn't it? Might need a little bit of gateway work. And I think we're going to park up on the apron over here. There's work going on the other ones. I don't know where the terminal is. I have absolutely no idea where park in reality for Biggin Hill, so I'm just going to pop it on the ramp up here. There is no parking chart. That's a bit of a mess of a building. Somebody's put on the gateway. Brace your ears, I'm just going to have a cheap look outside. I guess we can park up on the ramp here. It looks like it needs a little bit of building work. So I looked at this online a while back and it seemed okay. So I didn't feel the need to get too involved in editing it, but maybe it does need a bit of work. Guess we'll come over here and park at a jaunty angle. It's 13:36, we're on stand.
Engine shutdown checklist. Taxi lights. Off. Parking brake. Set. Reverse thrust. Stowed. Generators 1 and 2. Off. Engine 2 shut down. Fuel boost pumps. Off. Fuel system.
Just wait for that check. Minus 53, says Valanta. Left is on, so right low pressure checked.
Engine 1 shut down. Check ITT below 350 degrees Celsius.
Checked.
Anti-ice. Off. 14th stage. Off. Beacon. Off. No steer. Off. ATC TCAS. Standby 0. Parking brake if chocked.
We will be popping that off in a moment.
Passenger signs. Off. Cabin differential. 0 PSI. Engine shutdown checklist complete. Securing checklist next.
Well, we made it. Sketchy. Frames on the way into London. CPU limited. Still might be the GPU. But do I want to spend megabucks to find out? There's an aeroplane over there. And I guess the guy that's vacated down there somewhere, maybe he flies here for real. There's a load of building work going on in reality, so maybe this will need to tweak. I'm kind of holding off on the doing stuff until X-Plane 12 is released, because the gateway, the scenery assets and stuff will be much improved. So it seems like a bit of a waste to do anything for the time being.
Our ride is here. Thank you, Captain. Always such a pleasure flying with you. Have a nice rest of your day.
Well, she was right this time. It was a nice landing. Interesting coming in, of course, to Biggin Hill. Quite a bit of manoeuvring, even in the arrival. Let's secure the aeroplane up while the packs disembark. That's them off to wherever they want to go. I think the heat haze on this is better. This has the plugin that does the shadows as well. You guys think that's better or not? I think it looks alright. Still a bit overdone, I guess. It looks a bit more realistic over here. too overdone there. Maybe it's, I don't know. You know what it's like in reality. Let's turn our jet off.
Secure and checklist. Emergency lights.
Off.
AC/DC utility switch.
Out. 3 minutes for the cockpit to shut down.
Headsets. Thrust reversers.
Off.
Chocks.
In.
Parking brake.
Off.
Hydraulic pumps.
They can come off now because we've put the pin in.
Nav lights. Logo light.
We have still got the APU running, so we're not going to turn those off just yet. And then we're going to run through the rest. So, until the APU goes off, we'll keep the packs and everything on. Power fuel, cockpit refuel is off. Service lights, pins, covers, everything. And then I'll do it from the actual QRH. Then we'll log off and have a look. Minus 52 feet. 1.2 G. Yeah, I mean, you'd still feel it. Not a bad arrival, actually. Not too far from Kenley. Never had the opportunity to fly from Kenley. It's a shame, really. Another Battle of Britain airfield. Red Hills over that way. It's just not that part of London. I don't think I've ever really flown to the south and east. It gets pretty busy around there along the coast. Maybe something to do this year. So that's for all the cockpit entertainment-y, computery stuff to shut down. It's not the end of the world for us though, is it? So, transponder park brake is off, thrust reversers are stowed, lights off, emergency lights off. No, so I disagree. The lights off should be the very last. And then MISC lights off. Not sure about that. Hydraulic pumps are off. APU gen can come off. APU comes off. Packs off. LCV 10th stage off. And then we're going to wait until the APU gauge has disappeared. What time is it now? It's 13:43. We shut down and we've got 1650 ample fuel. Just wait for that gauge to disappear. I think you guys can see it. I will watch that replay. I guess he logged off. Bose. There's Kenley. There you go, look, you can see just how busy main airports are. Maybe it's the traffic that kills the frames. Derp. So, ICAS gauge has gone off. I'm going to leave those on. And everything else is off, as is the battery. So that's us done. Can log off from VATSIM. And is there anything else I need to do? No. So let's have a look at the replay. I'll get rid of the frame rate counter now. So how about from this holding point? That was alright. Like I say, I think I could have held it off a little bit longer. I thought that was pretty good. It's almost like I'm getting the hang of this. Nice thing with the Ortho is you can see those sort of ground marks. I know it's not perfect. This is going to get better with X-Plane 12. So that's it. Hey, we made it. I would like to do a little tour of Norway to replicate my holiday. So we may go to Southampton and then around the fjords. Because we can do those in relatively short hops. So might start that off later today or tomorrow. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks for your patience. I'm sorry that I've been so lacking in motivation after all these crashes. But I hope you enjoyed the trip. It was well worth it. It's a lovely aeroplane, and it would be really nice to get those frames a bit more stable. I am going to think about that graphics card upgrade. So, until then, folks, thanks for watching, and until the next time, look after yourselves, take care, and bye for now.